Hi, I'm Josh Gilmore from Jackson, Wyoming. Thank you so much for donating money to me and so I could have this fantastic opportunity to come to SROM this summer. I chose to come to SROM because I just finished college in May and it was an exhausting 4 years and I felt very much on autopilot for the past 2 years. And with that, towards the end, I realized wow, I'm exhausted. I wanted to really press into God more. And I wanted to learn all the mountaineering skills and the climbing skills. And so SROM seemed like just a perfect mix of all of that, just as like a transition from what my life had been for my entire life of just school into whatever my adult life is going to bring me. I don't know if I can really speak to everything I learned on this course because there's lots of things I learned and lots that I don't know I've learned yet. And so I'm going to be continually debriefing that. I learned how much I love pouring myself into community. And I really love if I know something and someone's interested, I really love being able to here, let me help you and explain that to you. And so that's a big part that I learned about me. I really learned wow, I kind of like just sitting here with God and learning and just listening to my thoughts and listening to God. And so one of the things I learned about myself is that's super life-giving to me, and it's something that I want to take from this summer and put it into my life of just wow, just take a minute, even in the busy times, to be okay, I'm just gonna sit alone. I'm just gonna sit here and think and pray and just kind of decompress from what's been happening. I also learned that I really do enjoy leadership and that I thrive more when I'm in a leadership position. And I need to learn how to be a better follower and how to really just kind of come under people if that's the role, because that's another part of servant leadership, of just being able to be that follower and just being able to empower those above you and below you when you're the leader. I think I grew a lot in leadership. How do I be a leader? How do I lead others? And how do I manage that role if I'm not the leader? A leader is someone who knows what to do next and why, and how to bring the proper resources to bear. I have a problem sometimes with that last one, when I am not on top and I'm a little bit underneath. I learned about myself that if I think I know what to do and what to do next, I need to speak up in that, and I need to not usurp the person ahead of me, but bring that to them in a respectful, life-giving way to the leader that's above me. Learning when to speak that into situations is a journey that I'm going through right now, and something I've learned a lot about myself through all these courses, and I'm really excited to take that and implement it more into my everyday life. I think I grew as a disciple of Christ in this summer by mostly recognition, specifically with sonship. So we had the sonship devos where we were talking about do you have the heart of an orphan or the heart of a son? And so I think for me, being able to name myself where I am on that continuum for all of the different sonships allows me to be more self-aware and more self-aware of where I am in my walk with God, and then be more aware of where other people are and be able to talk into that and be able to be this is the struggles I'm having with this, and this is how we can maybe work together in it. The most impactful part of the course for me was during the mountaineering section. And we had the high places Devo. We were talking about mountaintop experiences. When we're up top near God and we get this mountaintop experience, this spiritual inflowing, we get so many revelations about ourselves that we can then hold them close, and then bring them back down into the valleys with us where we live. It felt really like God was speaking to me in that moment, and just wow, this is amazing, speaking through this Devo into me, and it was just wow, this is super impactful to me. And just it was just for me, the purest worship that I had the whole course, and the closest I felt. And it was just amazing to be able to kind of hear God speaking to me, and then as the sun set, and it was just spectacular views, spectacular spirit upon us, and it was I think probably the most memorable moment for me from the entire course was just that moment, just on my knees, just like worshiping. Coming up with my I am statement was a journey, to say the least. I am a man who God has given many gifts, and I am called to cultivate those gifts for the restoration of people and creation. I feel like really called for that specific word, restoration. But I kind of also feel called to do that like with creation. And so I really feel called both with people restoring them to God and creation restoring our role as stewards of the earth and just like taking care of it. And I just really kind of feel like for me that there's those two facets that I really feel called to. And one of the other big things is taking my I am statement and typing it up and printing it off and just slapping it around places in my house, of just like walking around, just like, okay, yeah, like, okay, I am that. And it's like, okay, walk somewhere else in the room, like, okay, I'm that. And just kind of that, always just that constant reminder of just like, this is your calling, live in your calling. I've had lots of upgrades of myself and just knowledge of myself, and been listening to God and just having him be like, yeah, here's some things, go live in these. I would say that my three are aware of my triggers, aware of where I am in sonship, and aware of my calling. The big one, the first one is the triggers, and which is my leadership and how I act as a leader. I was learning about myself in stressed out moments, how to act in those moments, and like I failed a lot and I succeeded a lot. Both of those are just like, they're equally telling for me and like how I need to develop, because like, okay, like I did this well, like that's awesome, I need to like foster those moments. Or like I did this poorly, okay, I need to pray about that, and like how do I not do that next time. The next upgrade was just like aware of the sonship part, and I just think that like having that sheet of all of the different ways you can either be heart of an orphan or heart of a son, it was just like super impactful and always going to be a journey. I'm always going to be fluctuating left and right on like this continuum of acting like an orphan, acting like a son, and it's just like this lifelong journey towards sonship that I'm now able to really start on in a more pointed direction. And I really want to print off that sheet and just like kind of like slap it on my fridge, keeping it in my life, referring back to it and being like, how am I progressing? Am I progressing? I think is going to help me along that journey like really greatly. And finally, my last upgrade is just the kind of just knowing my calling, at least my calling for the moment of restoration. So having that calling on my life and knowing that is just, it just feels like God's peace has just like kind of come over me a lot more than it really was in the past couple years. And that just like, it just like feels like just like a weight kind of off my shoulders, just like I can like relax into me. Like I want to foster that by practicing it. And practicing like that restoration with people and be like, okay, like, all right, God, like, what do I need to do with this person? Like, okay, like, what job should I be pursuing right now? Or like, what can I be pursuing to like restore creation to you? And what can I do to help restore people to you? Like, how can other people help restore me to you? I'm just like, I'm really energized to go do that as well. And so like, that's very exciting. And that's probably the upgrade I'm like holding closest to, because it's really like, it's just been really life-giving to me. Thank you again so much for the donations and allowing me to have these life-altering experiences. I can't express how much like this summer has meant to me, and how much just more like myself I feel, and how much closer to God I feel through this summer. And yeah, so as best as I can, thank you for the donations.